Good morning and welcome to Inservice 2024. You know, back in the 1970s and 80s when our favorite sports teams were having success in a string of games or even consecutive seasons, we sometimes described them as having the big momentum that seemed to carry them and be on their side for continued success into the future. As we enter this academic year, I see us, the college team, as having the big momentum from the successful last year that's really positioned us for continued success for the 2024-2025 academic year. We had so many great wins last year. The class of 2024 that graduated in May included our first successful graduates from our Bachelor of Science in Education program. And those Delaware Tech alums are all out teaching in school districts throughout the state as a result of a program we started just 2 years ago. Delaware Tech is helping solve the teacher shortage in our state, just as we've done for other critical needs for over 50 years. That class of 2024 with over 1,800 graduates also produced 467 nurses, 200 allied health professionals, 85 IT technicians, and the list goes on and on with Delaware Tech grads providing the workforce in every sector of Delaware's economy. Our partnerships with state school districts continue to grow with expanded dual enrollment opportunities, but also through unique and creative immersive pathways that provide high demand certifications and work experience in healthcare, IT, and engineering, producing college and career-ready high school graduates entering the workforce. And here within the walls of the college, we continue to build on our nationally recognized success of these past few years in redesigning and reforming our programs and updating support services for our students as an Achieving the Dream Leader College of Distinction. Again, the momentum we have created in aligning our programs, reforming and updating the math and English course designs, and the foundation we've laid for student advisement will only help and support our continued success in the year ahead. All of this work keeps our students at the center of everything we do and enhances their ability to complete their educational goals faster so they can benefit from and enjoy all that their Delaware Tech experience has to offer. Now, some of you have mentioned to me or commented to your colleagues that maybe we need to slow down, step away from making changes, or take a year or two to pause this work. I would just respond that as a community college, we don't have that luxury. It just isn't an option for us. As the world around us changes, our markets change, and we need to adapt as well. In some instances, we need to anticipate change and be positioned to respond in order to remain relevant and effective. Again, this change isn't for the sake of change. The changes that we've initiated and will continue to drive are strategic responses to how we fulfill our mission. In recent years, higher education as a community has undergone a renewed and increased level of scrutiny regarding the value and relevance of a college education. You've all seen the articles. You've heard the reports. I'm sure some of you hear it in social circles or among family members. Questions about the value of a college degree, looking hard at the return on investment for so many young people who spend many years and thousands of dollars, sometimes in debt, for a degree of questionable value. Some educators and economists have advocated radical changes to the system to ensure value and relevance, not just for students involved, but for our economy and for society as a whole. The one institution in the entire debate that is not being questioned, that remains relevant and valuable, is the community college model of higher education. But again, we only keep that distinction. We only remain relevant and valuable if we embrace change, adapt and anticipate the markets around us, and remain laser focused on serving the students who walk through our doors today. And again, last year was just another demonstration of how effective you all are in doing just that. One of the key drivers of student success is the work we do to ensure that each and every one of our students has access to the support they need and opportunities we can provide to enhance their college experience. This past year, the College-Wide Equity Committee has been on the forefront of leading much of this work. Again, building on the momentum that has been created in recent years. The committee created a mission statement to serve as a North Star for our work in this area. The committee developed a collective definition of equity to ensure clarity and consistency among the various departments and divisions within the college community. And the committee has a renewed sense of energy going into this year with so many enhancements we've made to support the equity work within the college. Under the leadership of Cornelia Johnson, our new Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, combined with the ongoing work of the Equity Committee and the College-Wide Human Resources Department, we see next year as our most impactful year yet in this critical area of focus. Thank you all for being part of this discussion and conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion as we roll into next year. Cornelia, I think the most exciting part of the work that everyone's doing is the fact that we've got a leader, a vice president now, focused solely on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's because you agreed to step into the position, and the board is very excited. We're getting a lot of positive feedback from employees that we've got a vice president now focused solely on this. So thank you for doing it, and if you'd like, take a minute to talk about what you envision for the months ahead.
Well, Mark, thank you for the opportunity. My career in higher education extends over 3 decades, and so I started in student affairs, and much of it has been student affairs, so supporting our students and ensuring their success has been a passion for many, many years and continues to be. But then when I was selected to be a co-chair for the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion College-Wide Committee along with Dr. Laura Johnson, that was just a phenomenal experience. We had a college-wide team. We did some amazing things that supported our students. Some of the things that I plan to do, first of all, we have to be very intentional in this, making sure that all students receive what they need to be successful. The priority right now is to diversify our workforce, especially our instructors, because I think it's important that students see individuals that look like them teaching in the classroom. And so that's going to require going to some career fairs, going to some partnering with some HBCUs, also developing some professional networks with DEI. And so I'm really excited about that, so thank you so much.
Great, well thank you. And you made reference to the fact that you got your start in student affairs, and the Equity Committee talks a lot about providing every student with the support that they need in order to succeed. And Lacey, you've spent a lot of time on the Equity Committee and been directly involved in that work. So talk about what you've been doing and what the committee's been doing and how you're going to continue that work into the year ahead.
Yeah, we're excited for the next academic year and to continue that momentum working with Cornelia in her new role. I was lucky to be part of the Employee Equity Committee, and then 2 years ago you appointed a college-wide committee that joined the Employee and the Student Equity Committee together. So for the past year we achieved a lot of great things. We were able to come up with the equity definition statement, our pillars, and then be able to present that to the college community at our Equity Summit in May. And so it was a great year, and we again look forward to working with Cornelia in her new role.
That's great. That's great. And you both talked about the importance of having a diverse workforce. We have a very diverse student population. Our student population is more diverse than the state we serve. So it is important for our students to have role models and coaches and individuals who can help them on their educational journey as well. So Melinda, you were part of a pretty diverse team that went to Washington, D.C. in June and participated in a symposium comprised of many of the HBCUs in the region. So it sounded like a great weekend. So talk a little bit about the work you all did there.
It was a great weekend. I was fortunate enough to be invited by the HR team to be a part of the events. First time I've ever attended anything like that. So it was really impactful for me. We made contact with 60 plus individuals who were interested in Delaware Tech as employment, and then a few as students.
Perfect.
So the team that we had was just impeccable because everybody covered an area, and we filled in just seamlessly for one another, and we didn't miss an opportunity. You know, we did a little advertising to go out and have some people come to the table, you know, so we could tell them more about Delaware Tech. So it was really a great day, and then on Saturday we kind of met to debrief before we left to head back home. It was a great weekend.
Sounds great.
Good experience.
So you had Lacey, Cornelia, and Denise Berry, and all four of you were there. So
Yes.
you're right. You covered every aspect of outreach to that special population that we're trying to attract. So Cornelia, you talked about developing a strategic plan, and the great thing about the year ahead is we've got these strategic efforts by HR. We've got these strategic efforts by the Equity Committee, and now the leadership from the vice presidential level. What are some of the primary components you see coming out of the strategic plan for equity, diversity, and inclusion for next year?
I think it's just putting structure around some of the things that we're doing, and in addition adding some things, Mark. So I think what's going to come out of it, I think that having it like a plan, and then also adding some best practices that maybe we haven't looked at already, and incorporating those things.
Perfect.
And potentially bringing back some of the things that we've done in the past as well.
Sounds exciting. Sounds exciting. And Melinda, as you know, is a teaching and learning institution. All the magic happens in the classroom. So any final thoughts from you about what we can look forward to in the year ahead, and how we can support the instructional division on this work?
One final thought is that we are working in the Human Services program to, Natasha Hughes and myself are working to get the Black Student Alliance Club started at the Owens campus. So I'd be really excited to see if we could partner in some activities and events with the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion
Great idea.
division. So yeah.
Great idea. Well, thank you all. Thank you, ladies, for your leadership and ongoing work. We look forward to working with each and every one of you in the year ahead. And speaking of the year ahead, few things can impact our ability to serve our students more than the state operating budget. As I've said repeatedly over the past few years, we've been blessed to have a governor and a General Assembly who have believed in Delaware Tech and invested accordingly as they prioritize state resources in Dover. For the fourth straight year, state policymakers have supported our top legislative priority, salary enhancements for college employees. As we announced in July, our budget included a 2% salary increase for all employees, full funding for steps and lanes for professional development, full funding for the SEED and SEED Plus scholarships, and new funds that we requested to expand our associate degree nursing program above its current capacity statewide. Through the capital bond bill, we received a total of $17 million for our facilities statewide. For those of you keeping track, the entire $10 million that we requested from the governor was approved, as well as an additional $7 million added by the bond bill committee during the final stages of their work. As a teaching and learning institution, high-quality spaces for our students is a top priority, and our new student success centers are multi-million-dollar commitments to student success. As you know, Wilmington and Stanton centers are completed now. Georgetown's center will undergo enhancements starting this fall and will continue through next spring. And the Terry Campus Student Success Center will be completed and operational during this academic year. So you spent over 20 years on this campus. We know you've retired, and we congratulate you and honor your work and celebrate all you've done for our students. But of all the people who lived here, so to speak, you can appreciate these changes. So talk a little bit about how you think our students will respond and how they'll be served in this new space.
So first, what I saw when I first came in was the accessibility for the students. As soon as you walk in the door, there's a lot of light. It's welcoming, it's open, it's modern. The Terry building over so many years had made so many changes that this is amazing. So that's the first thing I noticed when I came in.
So as you well know, this convenience factor for students to be able to come in and access critical services all in one space is really important. So we had that before, but it was clunky, it was balkanized, and it definitely wasn't as large as this.
Yeah, it was dark. I think students had a hard time figuring out where to begin necessarily, but the whole idea of them being able to come in, meet with an academic counselor, get their first schedules, talk about financial aid, talk about the support services. There's your bookstore, there's a cafeteria, like
Right.
everything is here and it's so welcoming. I think it's going to be amazing.
Right. You pointed out the cafeteria. You want to go check
Sure.
that out now?
Yeah.
Okay. But this brand new cafeteria is, I think it's important because every time I used to come to the Terry campus, it was always being utilized.
Yes.
The kitchen is brand new. The food service area is brand new. You've got a lot of natural light. But you were talking earlier about how much your students use the cafeteria as well.
Well, we've got, our nursing program has day and evening students. So often they would come right from work if they got off work at 3:30 and they would come into the cafeteria, or we would give them a break for their classes and they would be able to come in and get dinner. So this is certainly a full service cafeteria which they're going to be able to take advantage of. The other thing for our students is that they didn't use this for just eating. This was a gathering place for our
Right.
students. And I even had meetings with students. So if I had, let's say, 4 students who wanted to meet with me with tutoring, let's say, we would come into the cafeteria and meet because it was a bigger space and it was just open. But this is so much more light, it's so much more welcoming, modern,
Right.
so it's beautiful.
Right, it is beautiful. We focused a lot on the cafeteria because we knew how much students utilized it.
Yep.
So this is the new Learning Commons space. As you can see, the structure and the footprint hasn't really changed, but the lighting and the look and feel of it has been totally enhanced. So this also was important space for design purposes because, as you know, it's always been used as a learning commons.
Yeah, we've always been proud here at the Terry campus that we had the first Learning Commons. It really expanded students' access to technology. They were able to come in here in groups and study or huddle in the private rooms. And I know for our nursing students, that was really important, that they needed a quiet space. But yet there were the open spaces where students didn't have to be so quiet. They could still talk amongst themselves and study. So this is, again, amazing and open and bright and welcoming. So.
Yeah. And your point about the huddle rooms, we did expand those under this design. So you'll see there's more rooms for students to utilize, but also better design rooms, a lot more technology in this space than there was before. So Paula, thanks so much for coming back and sharing your observations and thoughts about the new Student Success Center. Sorry to interrupt your retirement, but we thought it was important to get your view of the space.
Well, it was a pleasure being here. Thank you for asking me. And I really look forward to seeing the end product and the opportunities that are going to be offered for our students, even more than they have right now. So
Great.
thank you.
Well, we're going to invite you and all of our retirees back to see the space
Great.
when we open it up during the next academic year. So thank you.
You're
I'll
welcome.
let you get back
Thank
to
you.
fun and relaxation of retirement. How's that?
That sounds good.
In addition to our brand new one-stop student success centers, we're also making significant investments in state-of-the-art labs and new classrooms. In fact, we're coming to you from the new Highmark Healthcare Center of Excellence in Dover, now officially opened and home to 11 allied health certifications that serve workforce needs throughout our state. And in Wilmington, thanks to a $15 million appropriation from President Biden's pandemic relief bill, we will open the new Allied Health Center of Excellence, where we will expand both the paramedic and surgical technician programs, 2 high-demand fields in Newcastle County. And the college will also offer simulation labs to support the healthcare sector in offering professional development training for the existing workforce. With us this morning is Jennifer Miller. She's a department chair of the Medical Assistant Program who will speak now about how these new labs will enhance the quality of our programs. The new Allied Health Center of Excellence is coming online next year, and we know that state-of-the-art labs and the use of technology is really important, not just in your program, but all allied health programs. So talk a little bit about why these labs are so important in preparing your students for their field of study.
But we currently have top-notch instructors that have in-field experience, along with curriculum that is well designed and accredited programs. With that, we're going to create versatile students that go out into the field, into these entry-level positions.
So the labs that you're going to be entering and the students will be using, talk a little bit about the exact skills and competencies that they learn in the labs that they can transfer to their career when they graduate.
So students will work in simulated doctor's office, and they'll be able to do all the skills assessments that are required for any facility, and they can take those skills and then utilize them in their internship. And we hear it all the time, how our students come into internship already knowing what to do, already having that simulated lab and the simulated areas for like point of care testing will really give the students that real world feeling as they're at the doctor's office.
Point of care testing? What,
So that-
what is that? And talk a little bit about how your involvement in designing these labs helped improve what the students are going to experience.
So point of care testing is the autoclave and the urinalysis and blood testing and other specimen testing areas, and having that set area at a lab helps them to know that there's differentiated areas that they need to work in and that they have duties in those areas.
Okay.
And then we have the simulated exam rooms, which also give the simulation of working alongside a doctor and helping organize the room to meet the doctor's needs and the patient's needs.
Are there any other design features that you're specifically excited about?
The storage closet.
Okay.
The storage closet will help store all of the equipment, and then it'll be utilized with both labs as needed.
And eventually, how will technology be integrated into these labs, again, to help enhance the student experience?
So we'll also have the video technology where students will be able to view the lecture remotely, but we always will have them come in for the experience in the lab.
Talk a little bit about the reaction you're getting from students when they learn about, where they're going to be studying next year.
Adding in 2 new programs is exciting. Having that collaboration, being able to collaborate with other programs and work together because we're all in the same area is huge. And it also opens up the door for students to be able to maybe step into one field and then realize that there's opportunity or advancement in another field that they could come back and take courses in, which I've seen students do. But being in the same area helps them to see these other programs operate as well, and having that collaboration.
Awesome. And at Stanton, we expect to open the new Culinary Arts Wing in the spring of next year. Tom, you're in this facility now, and we've known for a number of years that we need to do some improvements there. So talk about how this current space for the culinary program is very limiting for your students.
Okay, so it is very limiting just in space itself. It's very small. We can fit 10 students. It's a tight fit.
In addition to the spaces being cramped and it impacts your ability to teach, you all were told during the last accreditation process that you need to do something with the facility or it could jeopardize that, right? So
Correct.
Talk about that a
we
little
were reaccredited about 4 years ago, and in that final interview in that process, we were told that we're going to pass you this time, but you've got all of these problems, and we made sure that we incorporated those things into the program, into the facility, so that we're going to cover all bases there for reaccreditation.
Going forward.
Make the going forward much simpler. We're going to go from this to using state-of-the-art equipment,
Right.
The latest things out there, and have the breathing room to use them properly.
And that's important for our students because they're entering industry. They need to see the most recent equipment they're going to be using.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, this will be an example of the finest establishments that they're going to see in this area.
So when we expand the space, you're going to be able to add to the program enrollment, right?
Absolutely.
And expand Talk a little bit about how much larger you can go.
So that was a big part of it. Currently, we do baking and pastry and savory all in that space, and so I can fit 30 students in the fall, and that's all I can do. Now we're going to be able to take more students in at a time, 12, 14 students at a time. You're talking about doubling the program. And so, yeah, our numbers are going to be able to go up. So this will be like a savory side. This will be the line that's going to service this restaurant. So there's going to be, there'll be two sections here. This line that services that restaurant, and then behind that will be a teaching environment with, a station where a chef can stand at a table and do something with cameras and a big TV behind him, and students can sit there and learn in that environment.
Classroom almost?
Like a classroom.
New equipment, larger space, not only for the kitchen, but the dining facility as well. So you're going to have a lot more capacity for that.
The dining facility itself is going to be beautiful and modern and a little bit bigger. And we'll even have some outside dining that's, to add to the atmosphere. And so
it's exciting.
It's all going to be exciting.
Great. And the next time you're at the Stanton campus, please walk by the new Child Development Center, where that project is also in its final stages, with an official opening date in the spring. For some of you veteran employees at the Owens campus, you might recall that about 10 years ago, we had convened a working group to develop recommendations for a new Learning Commons, as that was the next project to be completed on that campus. Needless to say, because of a combination of other demands such as HVAC priorities, classroom renovations, and limited bond bill funds at the time, we had to shelve that project. But now, with the Governor and the General Assembly supporting another 5-year commitment of capital funding for our deferred maintenance, we dusted that project off and we look to begin design work next year. Well, this is an exciting project. I know for you because your history goes back to 10 or 12 years ago when you served on the original working group for the Learning Commons project. So was that experience helpful as you started the conversations for this newly revised plan?
Absolutely. So yes, back in 2012, I was on the original Learning Commons Task Force Committee, and the report we put out through that committee was very valuable with what we did this year. We were able to use those recommendations to put forth our new report, so it's exciting to see that vision start to come alive again.
Yeah, design work starts this year, so stay tuned. And that report started, kind of gave you a head start for this work. So you're on the new task force. What ideas out of the whole conversation there integrated into the design of the new space?
Yeah. So, well, Carrie and I were very intentional with holding the meetings actually in the library because we wanted the task force to be able to walk through each time we held a meeting to kind of think, okay, what's happening in here now? What's happening from the 2012 report that's going to launch us forward to see what type of elements we wanted to transition, obviously, into the new space. And so when we had the opportunity to tour the George campus and their new Learning Commons, we were able to see, okay, what's working well, what could we do to maybe make some improvements from their ideas, and we have such a large footprint to work in that it was really helpful to us to think about what the design might look like, and especially the upstairs when we have such beautiful lighting and things of that nature that could really help us to figure out what services and the operations of the actual faculty and staff, how they would be involved, obviously, in working with students and helping us to think that vision through.
This new working group, when you look at the membership of it, it's great because it cuts across a lot of different divisions and a lot of different perspectives. So in those meetings, what are some of the ideas that got put forth by the users or some of the stakeholders that are going to be in here?
Well, one of the pieces that I would not have thought about, but the head librarian brought this to our attention, is when a student comes into the space, the services that they receive on the front end. We want to ensure that that is very welcoming and that you have someone that's ready to greet that student initially. And so she played an important role with helping us to think that through and how we might be able to design the lower part of the library so that when a student steps foot in, they see someone who's ready to greet them and then helps them to find the resources that they need.
Perfect. And you're representing the faculty, so there's a lot of ideas around faculty co-location and things like that. So what are some of those ideas, and how do you see them playing out into the next phase?
Yeah, well, one of the Learning Commons goals, I think, would be to create a collaborative environment for faculty and staff to all come together with students and create a conducive learning environment. So we had a student on the task force, which was awesome, and he helped us, think that through, what students would like to see and how they could work with faculty over here.
Every Learning Commons has a series of huddle rooms, but your report was very specific. You wanted a lot of huddle rooms of varying sizes. So why was that a major recommendation?
Yeah. So, well, that feedback from our Wilmington location was very helpful. And they said, oh, if we had had more quiet study areas, that probably would have been really helpful for our students. But with the space that we had, we knew that we had an opportunity to put that into the recommendations.
There's tons of square footage down here for the huddle rooms, right? I mean, the first floor is going to be dedicated to a lot of that.
Yes.
Yeah, we envision the first floor being the place where students can come in and start working and getting together with students, providing a space that's quiet, but also intentionally having little areas where they can congregate. So placing those huddle rooms in an intentional area, separating the quiet spaces from the, maybe more social spaces. And faculty could use the downstairs space or upstairs space depending on what the architects put together.
This still is a library right now, but this is beautiful space. This second floor is going to get really revised to the point where it's going to be primo location. What are you hearing from your colleagues and students, really?
Yeah. So faculty are really excited. It's going to look beautiful, I think, and students are excited as well. I had the opportunity to talk to my own students and other students while we were serving on the task force, and they definitely want to see this space as a place they want to hang out. Kind of the hub on campus is how we envision this. So I think it's a really exciting time for us at the Owens campus.
So as you can see, we have a lot to do this year, but building off of the success of the past and with the support and confidence of our stakeholders, we'll use the momentum we've created in prior years to embrace change, identify new opportunities to serve our students and our state, and finish the work we prioritized for the year ahead. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you to make this year as successful as last. Thank you all again for all you do for our students, and have a great in-service week and a successful academic year.